Holy cow. Every cookie she touches actually crumbles into a million pieces. Cookie Queens is the biggest box office disaster ever. The biggest Hollywood flop in history.
Guys, I'm really beginning to smell the desperation on Meghan Markle's spread. And there have been more ads that pop up, including ads for things, guys, that she's not selling.
Meghan Markle may have just discovered the difference between being talked about and actually being able to sell something. Because Cookie Queens did not simply arrive quietly and disappear. It arrived with Meghan and Harry attached to it. A Sundance appearance, celebrity headlines, red carpet attention, and the kind of publicity most tiny documentaries could only dream about.
They don't boost a project, they drag a project. Will the embarrassment never cease? At least for Meghan Markle, it seems unlikely. I don't know why she put herself out there so much on the promotional tour, as it looks even more like a failure on her. She owns it now.
And then, a compilation of cat videos beat it. Yes, cat videos. That is the part you almost have to read twice. Cookie Queens opened in 446 theaters and brought in roughly $328,000 over the weekend. That comes out to around $735 per theater.
The people chose the cats beat the cookies. This is another failure for Harry and Meghan. They've mistaken fame for popularity. Now, these two have got enormous name recognition worldwide. They've got the backing of some big players in the Hollywood production area. They trade off the royal brand, and yet they still cannot produce anything that is successful. So this is another thing they've done that's bombed.
Hundreds of screens, 2 globally famous executive producers, months of attention, interviews, photos, entertainment coverage. And after all of that, the audience was still painfully thin. Then Cat Video Fest showed up on fewer screens and made far more money.
The per-screen delivery for this film is way less than $1,000, making it completely not viable for any more cinemas to take it on. And remember, this is a couple who had international publicity around this movie, and they could not make more than $800 per theater.
People can watch cats knock things off tables for free all day on the internet, and somehow enough people still paid for cinema tickets to watch a cat compilation that it walked straight past a Meghan and Harry-backed documentary. That is not just awkward. That is the kind of comparison that turns a weak opening into a punchline. And suddenly, one question becomes impossible to avoid. What exactly is the Meghan Markle name worth when somebody actually has to pull out a wallet? Because attention has never been Meghan's problem.
But I'm sorry. Spare me that nonsense. This is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Every mainstream media outlet have been talking about Cookie Queens. This is publicity, and still no one showed up. And I'll tell you why. These two are a drag on any project.
Put her name in a headline and people click. Put her on a red carpet and cameras turn. Give her a new launch and social media starts arguing before most people even understand what she is selling. She has instant recognition. Hollywood spends fortunes trying to manufacture that. But Cookie Queens just exposed the uncomfortable gap between recognition and demand.
A compilation of the best cat videos submitted by fans that landed in 10th place in the box office charts. Harry and Meghan's Cookie Queens is outside the top 10 at number 13.
Before we continue, I want to mention something really quick. Organizing your family's important information is one of those things most of us know we should do, but we keep putting it off. That's exactly why there's the Family Vault. It gives you one place to organize your important documents, insurance, medical information, passwords, and more, so everything is easy to find when it's needed. You'll find the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. That's all. Now, let's get back to today's story. People can know exactly who you are and still not buy the ticket. They can watch the clips, debate the outfit, complain about the interview, praise the appearance, hate watch the coverage, and turn the entire thing into a giant online conversation. None of that guarantees one seat in a movie theater.
I actually did get to see the movie on Thursday. They had Thursday previews for this.
Oh my God,
well.
Did you? Tell me everything.
I certainly did. Yes. So I was in the theater with only 2 other people.
And that is why this opening is more damaging than the raw number makes it look. Cookie Queens was never supposed to be a blockbuster. Nobody expected a small documentary to compete with a superhero movie or dominate the summer box office. That is not the standard. The standard is much simpler. Did all of that celebrity attention create any obvious lift? Right now, that is very hard to see.
They did the red carpet there, all the interviews, and nothing was going to save it.
But you're the face of it and you're doing the promotion and it bombs. Well, you wear that.
Another tiny release that same weekend makes the comparison even rougher. It brought in roughly the same total amount while playing in only a handful of theaters. Cookie Queens had hundreds of screens to spread its audience across, and still could not create much heat per location. That matters because nobody is asking this documentary to behave like a major studio release. It only had to look strong for its own size. A healthy, small movie can make noise in a limited number of theaters and expand from there.
So Tony here at number 12 was only in 6 theaters. Like, look at the difference, how huge a difference there are between, like, these are basically the same, but these are radically different. I love this comparison here.
Cookie Queens had the opposite problem. Plenty of screens, plenty of famous name attention, and not enough people sitting in the seats. And Meghan and Harry cannot exactly hide in the background on this one. They are not the subjects of Cookie Queens. The film follows the girls. It is not a documentary about the Sussexes. But once Meghan and Harry attached themselves as executive producers and appeared around the project, the publicity changed. Their names became part of the hook. Their Sundance appearance became part of the story.
Sometimes on really hard days, once he said, "Yeah, but my love, you know, even if there's a storm happening, above the storm, the sun's always shining." And that's a perspective that only comes when you think about zooming out a little bit. So I think when you really zoom out and think, my gosh, how many things have we gone through that have felt hard, and then you still get
Okay,
through
that's
them?
enough
Or
of
how many
that.
goals-
That's enough of Meghan. Oh my God.
Their involvement helped turn a small film into something entertainment media actually noticed. If the movie had suddenly exploded, nobody would have treated Meghan and Harry like irrelevant names buried in the credits. It would have been presented as a win, a breakthrough. Proof that their production work had finally found something audiences wanted. So when the box office is weak, the celebrity names cannot suddenly be separated from the expectations they helped create. That is what makes this so uncomfortable.
Tony, the Anthony Bourdain biopic, it opened to roughly the same or slightly more money, right? So $349,000. But check this out. It was only in 6 theaters, which meant it took a massive per theater average of $58,000. Whereas Cookie Queens is taking less than 800.
There is also a strange audience problem sitting underneath all of this. If somebody is buying a ticket because Meghan and Harry are the reason they noticed Cookie Queens, they are not actually getting a Meghan and Harry documentary. The film is about the girls. But if somebody wants a small, sincere documentary about the girls, the giant Sussex publicity cloud can become bigger than the film itself. That leaves the project stuck in a terrible middle ground. The famous names can generate enormous awareness without necessarily bringing the audience that wants the actual movie.
Sussex's latest flop proves they only have one talent, telling tales about the royals. The disinterest in Meghan and Harry couldn't be more obvious.
Meghan and Harry become too recognizable to stay quietly behind the scenes. But their visibility does not automatically guarantee enough ticket buyers to justify the attention. That is a very awkward kind of celebrity power. Everybody knows you are involved. Everybody talks about you being involved. But the conversation may end up being about you rather than the thing you were supposed to help sell. The attention worked. The conversion did not. And Hollywood cares about conversion. Streaming projects can disappear behind private numbers. Companies can celebrate vague milestones.
You cannot get more of a disaster. And by the way, what does Hollywood care about more than anything else, Jobbo? They pretend to care about morals. They pretend to care about the woke ideology. No. Hollywood cares about money, box office receipts. And that's why I don't think Harry and Meghan should ever have done this.
Nobody outside the platform always knows exactly how many people finished the show, how many watched for 10 minutes, or how much the project truly moved the needle. A theatrical release is much less forgiving. There is a ticket. There is a seat. There is money changing hands. Somebody has to decide that this thing is worth leaving the house for. And on hundreds of screens, not enough people made that decision.
What we've seen here is that Meghan Markle being attached to the film, much like any other freaking project she's attached to, does not actually help it. She is box office poison.
That is the warning sign Meghan should be watching very closely, because the exact same question now hangs over as ever. Is the audience interested in Meghan? Or is the audience interested enough in Meghan to repeatedly buy what she sells? Those are two completely different businesses. And right as Cookie Queens is taking this box office hit, As Ever has been pushing harder for attention online. More product promotion, more sponsored material, more emails, more serving ideas.
Guys, I'm really beginning to smell the desperation on Meghan Markle's spread as she continues to flail and fail in selling her brand.
More polished shots of jars, spoons, fruit, toast, honey, spreads, marmalade, gift sets, desserts, and summer boards. The message keeps changing slightly, but the goal is basically the same. Find another reason to put this product on the table. There has been a honey unboxing, a 3-spread gift set, orange marmalade on toast, homemade ice pops, cake glaze, roasted vegetables, vinaigrette, grazing boards covered in fruit, cheese, bread, and spreads. It all looks pretty. But pretty is not the same thing as necessary.
And then we've also gotten, in the first 9 days of August, guys, 4 emails. The emails are increasing in frequency, and they're getting as inane as the last one.
That is where celebrity food brands get trapped. The first purchase can come from curiosity. People want to see the jar. They want to taste the thing Meghan launched. They want to participate in the moment. The second purchase is harder. The third purchase is where the real business starts. Because by then, the celebrity novelty is gone. Now the product has to win on its own. A customer has to finish the marmalade and think, I want that exact marmalade again. Not because Meghan posted another garden video. Not because a new email landed in the inbox. Not because the packaging looks nice in a photo. Because the product itself became something they want to keep buying.
Because the fundamental problem of Meghan Markle's brand is that she has food products and she does not know how to sell food products, and neither do any people on her team.
And As Ever seems to be working very hard to keep explaining how many ways these products can be used. That is not automatically a bad thing. Food brands advertise. Recipe ideas are normal. Serving suggestions are normal. But there is something revealing about how much lifestyle scenery is needed around such basic products. Jam does not need a tutorial. Honey does not need a storyline. People already know what to do with them. Put the spread on toast. Add honey to something sweet. Serve it with cheese. Use it in a glaze. The real commercial question is not whether people understand how marmalade works.
She's paid thousands of dollars in ads just even this month, just in August, to get As Ever in front of the same eyes as those following, and probably others as well.
It is why they need Meghan's marmalade instead of the dozens of others already sitting on supermarket shelves, farmers market tables, luxury food websites, and gift baskets everywhere. That is the fight. A beautiful table can create desire for the lifestyle. Flowers, soft light, expensive-looking serving boards, perfect fruit, a polished spoon next to a tiny jar, all of that can make an advertisement feel aspirational. But the customer is not buying the lighting. They are buying the food. Once the box arrives and the photo opportunity is over, the product has to justify the next order. That is where endless styling can actually become a distraction.
She has products that probably expire next year, and she can't figure out how to move them. And I'm sorry, but this is not really, I think, conveying something to the audience. And again, it feels like with Meghan and As Ever, it's like Groundhog's Day. I'm getting the same information again and again. Put it on bread. I get it, Meghan. Make a charcuterie board. I get that.
If every new post needs a new scene to make the same jar feel exciting, eventually people start noticing how much work is being done around the product, rather than how strong the product itself is. The question stops being, doesn't this look lovely? And becomes, why am I being shown another way to use marmalade? And food is a brutal category because it keeps forcing the same question over and over again. Why this jar? Why this price? Why buy it again?
We have spoken in recent weeks and recent months about a whole load of flops from the Sussexes, but this is box office poison. This is going to damage their chances of ever getting a Hollywood deal again.
You cannot live forever on launch week curiosity. And unlike a sweatshirt or a tote bag, food comes with another problem. The clock is ticking. Inventory has to move. Products have dates. Storage costs money. A jar sitting around does not become more valuable because the brand had a beautiful Instagram campaign 3 months ago. You need customers consuming it and coming back. Which makes that strange. As ever, clothing mystery suddenly much more interesting because a few months ago, actual clothing size charts appeared on the As Ever website. Not some vague teaser saying merchandise may arrive someday. Specific sizing information.
And Meghan Markle also made the cardinal mistake of not actually being a creative and not thinking beyond herself, because she did not sign up for this film because it was good, but because it fit her agenda. And that will always go south.
Adult unisex sizes ran from XS through 5XL. There were separate charts for children and toddlers. Then people noticed, and the charts disappeared. No clothing collection launched. No major announcement followed. No shirts, dresses, or children's line suddenly appeared for sale. The sizing pages simply vanished. Could it have been a website mistake? Of course. A template could have gone live too early. A developer could have uploaded the wrong page. There are boring explanations for strange website glitches all the time.
She inserted herself so much that film's success or failure now really does rest on Meghan Markle. Because she's the most well-known name, she put herself out in front of everything. And so its success, she could take credit for, but its failure, she equally must take credit for.
But an adult XS to 5XL chart plus children's and toddler sizing is extremely specific for a lifestyle brand that currently does not sell clothing. And after Cookie Queens, the timing looks even more fascinating. Because clothing would solve several problems that food cannot. A sweatshirt does not expire. A t-shirt can sit in a warehouse. A tote bag does not have to be eaten before a date on the package. And most importantly, merchandise can sell the brand name itself.
Yet again, Meghan Markle is exposed in a major lie, and not enough people are talking about this, because, Jobbo, you'll remember one of her big moans about leaving the British royal family was this claim, and it was a lie, that they didn't let her wear colour. Do you remember that? It was this thing I had, the Queen, the late Queen, the horrible late Queen, how dare she, Jobbo, had to be in the bright colours, and I had to be in the tonal, sort of the beige clothing. Oh, guess what, Jobbo? That was her choice, as she has now admitted in this video, because that's how she likes to dress. Look at this.
Which Girl Scout cookie best describes your personality?
Oh, trefoil. It's classic and classic. I can see trefoil for you. Like classic. It's sweet. Also, it's all the same color, and I like tonal dressing. It's the worst answer in the world.
I mean, how stupid is she?
You do not have to prove that a shirt tastes better than 20 competing shirts at the supermarket. You only have to convince someone they want the logo. That is a much easier celebrity proposition. It also gives, as ever, something food cannot. Merchandise that can function almost entirely as fandom. Somebody does not need to be hungry for a sweatshirt. They do not need to finish the first one before buying another. They can buy a shirt because they like the brand, because they like Meghan, because they want a gift, or simply because they want to wear the logo.
Cookie crumbles, as you said right in the beginning there. It's absolutely crumbled. I mean, I can't believe that they've got anybody around them who... I can't believe they've got any advisors at all, because they simply go ahead and do whatever the hell they want. And this was going to be a flop from the beginning.
That is why those vanished size charts are worth remembering. They do not prove a clothing launch is coming, but they fit perfectly with the kind of expansion that would reduce some of the pressure food puts on the business. Clothing buys time. It broadens the catalog. And it gives a celebrity lifestyle company a category where the celebrity itself can be a bigger part of the product. So what happens if As Ever suddenly moves beyond food? Would that be smart expansion?
Looking at Meghan, how does this all reflect on her? Is that Meghan can fundamentally do none of those things. And not every actor can, not every creator can, but you have to have the drive to think a bit differently, to maybe change up your voice. Again, how you walk, how you interact with people, how you move, how you touch, like all these different things that you have to think about, especially if you're playing a real life person. And Meghan fundamentally cannot do any of those things.
Or would it look like Meghan is already searching for a category where attention converts more easily into money? Because right now, that is the word hanging over everything. Conversion. Cookie Queens had visibility. It had Meghan. It had Harry. It had a festival appearance. It had headlines. It had hundreds of theaters. And still, a cat compilation became the embarrassing comparison everybody can understand immediately. You do not need a box office analyst to explain it.
In fact, Meghan Markle's Cookie Queens was beat by a film that only is in 6 theaters. Her film is in 446. It still did far, far better than Cookie Queen. And this is an example of why I think Hollywood, Netflix, and everyone is taking 2 giant steps back from Harry and Meghan, because attaching Meghan Markle to your film does not make it better. It makes it worse.
One project had a globally famous couple attached to it. The other had internet cats. The Cats one. That is brutal, because it strips away all the complicated excuses and leaves one very simple image behind. Massive attention does not automatically produce paying customers. And if that becomes a pattern, that is when the problem gets bigger than one documentary. Every producer has a flop. Every actor has a project that fails. Every company launches something that does not connect. One bad weekend is survivable. What companies hate is a repeated cycle.
Some very big players gave them a red-hot chance to succeed. You've got the likes of Netflix and Spotify giving them enormous amounts of money, and you've really got to question the judgment of the people in those positions.
You do,
because that money has been squandered.
Huge announcement, huge headlines, huge social media argument, weak conversion, then another pivot, another relaunch, another category, another attempt to restart the excitement. That is the danger for As Ever. If the brand keeps expanding before the current products prove they have staying power. Jam over here, honey over there, wine somewhere else. Then maybe shirts, maybe children's clothing, maybe home goods, maybe accessories, maybe whatever new category appears on the website next.
Kind of speaking of main character syndrome, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yep, As Ever liked Meghan Markle's own post. Meghan Markle liked her own post. Oh man, the cross-referencing with As Ever is just insane, guys. Now, it's starting to get really bad. As Ever is not doing well.
At some point, expansion stops looking ambitious and starts looking like a brand searching for an identity. That is what Meghan has to avoid. A lifestyle brand can become a junk drawer very quickly. One launch gets attention, so another category gets added, then another. Soon, the customer has no clear idea what the company actually stands for beyond the famous person at the center of it. That may work for short bursts of publicity, but it makes repeat purchasing much harder because there is no obvious hero product pulling people back.
Can you just imagine the smug looks at Netflix? They would be feeling very satisfied with themselves because they're not saddled with any of this dross that Harry and Meghan turn out anymore. They've got first option if they choose to take it, but I think they're just hanging around for when there's a divorce documentary. Don't laugh, it could happen.
That one probably will rate well.
The strongest brands usually give customers a simple answer when they ask why the company exists. As Ever still has to prove what that answer is. Is it premium food, entertaining, California lifestyle, gifts, celebrity merchandise, a broader home and fashion label? The more categories that appear before one of them becomes essential, the harder that answer gets. Because she has already proven she can launch. She can create a moment. She can get photographers to show up. She can get people arguing online. She can dominate entertainment headlines without even needing a giant traditional advertising campaign. That is an enormous advantage. But eventually, every business reaches the same boring question. Did anybody buy it?
I'm afraid Cookie Queens is just the latest proof that when it comes to creating films or TV that people want to watch, the Sussexes are talentless. Unless, of course, they are pulling back the royal curtain and talking about their very favourite subject themselves. Oh dear. It's hard to go on a worldwide publicity tour flogging your How We Met story and then ask for privacy. And it must be gutting for them that when they do try to produce promising projects which aren't personal, no one cares because they don't have the skills to create the magic which would make them fly.
Before we continue, one quick thing. One thing I've realized is that most families don't have their important information organized in one place. That's exactly why I recommend the Family Vault, a simple, printable, and fillable organizer where you can keep everything from important documents and insurance to medical information, passwords. You'll find the link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's get back to today's story. And then the harder question. Did they come back? That is the test no amount of celebrity coverage can replace. A person can click on Meghan because they love her. They can click because they cannot stand her. They can click because they are curious about Harry. They can click because they want to see the outfit, the house, the recipe, the argument, the latest controversy, or whatever else put her name back in the news that day. But a click is not a purchase. A view is not a repeat customer.
Huge drops in numbers here. And between Friday and Saturday, you got less and less. That's pretty bad. And again, the crazy thing is, Meghan Markle has no one else to blame but herself here.
A headline is not a filled theater. Cookie Queens just made that painfully obvious. And that is why this story matters far beyond one disappointing weekend. It puts pressure on everything Meghan tries to sell next. If As Ever keeps pushing food, can it prove people actually reorder? If clothing appears, will customers buy it after the launch day excitement fades? If the brand moves into more categories, will that look like natural growth or another attempt to outrun weak momentum?
The movie ranking number 13 on the box office chart despite massive publicity, and that is simply not good enough, of course, for a film that had this much hype and had these two human beings behind it. Indeed, the docu-film about Girl Scouts is being trashed by Hollywood insiders.
Those questions are going to follow the brand because the central problem is now so easy to see. Meghan does not struggle to get noticed. She may be one of the easiest celebrities in the world to get people talking about. The struggle is turning all of those eyes into action. Cookie Queens gave us a theater full of evidence. Hundreds of screens were available. The celebrity names were there. The publicity was there. The audience was not. And now the spotlight swings straight back to As Ever. More jars? More emails? More sponsored clips? Or are those missing clothing charts about to become the first clue that Meghan is preparing another reinvention? Tell me what you think.
And the thing is, it's all well and good for that industry expert to say, well, these documentaries fly on streaming services rather than in cinemas. My question would be then, Meghan, you've got a first look deal with Netflix. Why couldn't you get them to broadcast Cookie Queens? Because it's rubbish and they are done with you.
If As Ever suddenly launches clothing, does that look like a smart next step to you? Or does it look like Meghan moving on before the food side has proved itself? And after Cookie Queens, do you think her name still helps a project commercially? Or does it mainly guarantee attention without guaranteeing sales? Because the one thing nobody can claim anymore is that Meghan needs more publicity. She has publicity everywhere. The question is, what happens after everybody looks? Cookie Queens just gave a very uncomfortable answer.